Hello, everybody. I know it's not quite 8:05, but I have some good news to report if you are out there and you are one of our subscribers, one of our fans, and whatnot. Before I get into the booking office, number one, fever's gone. We've been sidelined here at the Brown household for the better part of 2 weeks. First I was sick, then the wife was sick, then I was sick again. So at least I think the fever's gone. I haven't checked my temperature this morning, but I'm feeling much better. Yeah, so we're getting this up, and we should be resuming your regularly scheduled programming next week. So that's what we're looking at. To give you guys an idea, as I am sitting here looking at stuffs, and to give you guys sort of a recap of what's going on, as it were, I am tasked with rebooking and I know there's a blur over on this side of the screen. I'm sorry about that. I've been tasked by my former broadcast colleague from Anarchy Wrestling, John the Body Johnson, with rebooking the 1991 WWE, but doing it with WCW's babyfaces, which, you know, seems weird. Give me just a second, because I'm trying to get set so I can share all this stuff. Let people know what we're doing. The actual booking will start around 8:05. So it is 7:59 Eastern Time as we speak. Well, goodness gracious. Come on now. Somewhere on here. Ah, share. Yeah, let's do that. So, y'all bear with me just a minute, and we will all be together, as it were, in one place. This gathering, my hand to your hand. I know it's silly. So anyway, just letting people know on Facebook what is up live. Darn it. Anyway. Paste link, which is really, really big link. There we go. Okay. Post that. Okay. So people will know that I'm actually online. I know at least one person knows. Oh, crap. No, stay on page. Anyway. So that's getting everything set up. There's one person watching out there. Hi, how you doing? Feel free. Now there's no people watching out there. Why'd you leave? So anywho, the setup. I've been tasked by my erstwhile former broadcast colleague from Anarchy Wrestling, John the Body Johnson, with rebooking 1991's WWF. However, on January 1st, I lost all the baby faces. So my baby faces are gone. Instead, I now have the babyface roster of WCW from 1991. So you can go back here on the channel and see previous episodes where I have booked essentially from the day after WrestleMania. Or actually not day after WrestleMania, from Royal Rumble. So previous episodes, we've already booked the Royal Rumble. We've already booked the main event, which was in February. We've already booked WrestleMania 7. We're through that. We're through Saturday night's main event from April. We've handled SummerSlam. SummerSlam's the last thing we booked, which was in August. It is now November. So this is the longest gap between shows. So to give you guys an idea of what happened at SummerSlam, on my SummerSlam card, Big Bully Busick, with Harvey Whippleman in his corner, defeated Tom Zank in 6 minutes with the Heart Punch. The Steiner brothers defeated Power and Glory to win the World Tag Team titles in 15 minutes. The model Rick Martel with his new manager, Sensational Sherry Martel, defeated Bobby Eaton in 8 minutes. Luger had the run-in post-match to help break up the Boston Crab. Ted DiBiase defeated Virgil to retain the $1 Million Championship. The Rock and Roll Express defeated the Beverly Brothers. Sting defeated Intercontinental Champion Mr. Perfect in 20 minutes with the Scorpion Deathlock to become Intercontinental Champion. We did the wedding of the Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth, and in the main event, the World's Heavyweight Champion Ron Simmons and our reigning King of the Ring, King Wildfire, Tommy Rich, defeated Sergeant Slaughter, Colonel Mustafa, and General Adnan in 20 minutes after Simmons power slammed Slaughter. So, and this little piece of me remembering stuff is going to result in me doing a little bit of real quick rebooking. So, word to the wise out there, always book in pencil. Or somewhere with a delete key. All right. That works for me. Okay. We're going to change that. Okay. So, we're bringing back a couple of concepts for Survivor Series. The real life Survivor Series 91 was called The Gravest Challenge. It featured Hulk Hogan versus The Undertaker for the World Heavyweight title. We are actually going to retain the name The Gravest Challenge because we are going to spend pretty much from SummerSlam all the way up to Survivor Series building The Undertaker versus Ron Simmons for the world title. This is going to be Thanksgiving night, November 27th, 1991, from the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan. That is the site of the Survivor Series. So, what we are going to do here, I'm going to give basically some notes, as it is now 8:05 Eastern Time, Turner Time, if you will, to kind of tell you where we're at as we go through, just so you kind of know where people are and what they're doing. And I have accidentally double booked somebody. That's fantastic. That happens, folks. That does happen where people get double booked. You know what? We're just going to say that that's the whole damn batch of them. Okay. So, opening match for Survivor Series. Rather than kind of go through and tell you what everyone's been doing every step of the way, we're going to do it as we go through match by match. The real Survivor Series was 6 matches. It was a series of, there was a dark match, and then you had a series of 5 matches on the pay-per-view. We have 6 on ours, and our pay-per-view is truthfully longer than the real pay-per-view was. They had 4 Survivor Series matches, 3 of which were 4-on-4, and 1 of which was 3-on-3. The actual main event of Survivor Series 91 was Big Boss Man and the Legion of Doom against IRS and the Natural Disasters. So that was your actual main event. In our world, That's not going to be the case. The Undertaker beat Hogan for the title on the Real Survivor Series right smack dab in the middle of the card. Again, that's not going to be the case in our world. So, and I'm going to bring back a concept, too, for this Survivor Series. So, two things. It is, to steal on from days gone by, teams of 5 strive to survive. All of these matches are 5-on-5 Survivor Series matches, with the exception of the main event of the evening. We're going to bring back the Ultimate Survivors match. I always loved the concept of the Ultimate Survivors match. They only did it 1 year. They did it at Survivor Series 90. But that's the one and only time they ever did it. So I enjoyed that idea, that concept, that all of these matches eventually led to something. And we're going to use this as a vehicle. Because we've got some new faces in town. My roster additions. Van Hammer joins the roster. I'm pretty sure that we're just going to go ahead and future endeavor Van Hammer. Wish you the best in all your future endeavors, Mr. Van Hammer. But I also get Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. He shows up in, I think in September. September or November 1. I don't remember which off the top of my head. But tremendous asset, and basically the second he shows up, we're going to start putting them over like gangbusters on television. However, we're not going to do what the WWF actually did with Ricky Steamboat, which was repackage him as simply the Dragon and pretend that his entire previous history in the company didn't exist. That we're not doing. We are going to say that, yes, this is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. This is the former Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion. I want that history, that lineage, that reputation to come with him. Flair shows up. Now, in real life, Bobby Heenan was carrying the big gold belt around on TV, saying that he was bringing the real world champion to the WWF. And we are going to do that after a fashion. No need to fix something that ain't broke. If I've got the belt, there's no reason not to have Ric Flair show up. The only thing that I'm probably going to try to do differently, I actually would try to get the ability to use the NWA name. Vince probably wouldn't go for it in real life. He would eventually. Eventually, the NWA World title did wind up on WWF television. When it was Dan Severn holding it. But if Flair is the NWA World Champion, and the NWA World title carries a lot of prestige at this point in time, it is not a forgotten title. If I can call him the NWA World Heavyweight Champion on television, then fantastic. So I'm going to try, if at all possible. If not, simply referring to him as the World's Heavyweight Champion would suffice. Also, with Sergeant Slaughter, we're going to take him off of TV for about a month after Survivor or after SummerSlam, and Adnan and Colonel Mustafa are basically going to be condemning him for his failures and his weakness, and then we're going to start the whole Sergeant Slaughter "I Want My Country Back" promos, because to me, that was some of the most powerful stuff to come out of '91. It was G.I. Joe saying, "I was wrong. I want my country back." That, to me, that was some of the best stuff Slaughter ever did. So, we're going with that too. Okay, here we go. Survivor Series opening match. It's going to be Axe, Smash, and Crush, all 3 members of Demolition, teaming up with the Orient Express. In our opening contest, they're going to take on Brad Armstrong, the Young Pistols, who are our team captains, and the Renegade Warriors. Basically, this is a really glorified enhancement match. The Young Pistols are going to look good against the Orient Express. The Orient Express is going to take all the shine in this. And maybe a little bit of shine, very little bit of shine on maybe smash. But ultimately, the Orient Express go out first, and then Demolition steamrolls all 5 guys. So your sole survivors are Demolition. Realistically, all of these guys have just been getting wins on TV. This match is probably announced the week before Survivor Series. There's no real need, no build up to this specific match. There's no story behind it. It's just a showcase for tag teams and Brad Armstrong. Brad, by the way, is going to be the last guy eliminated because I feel like we're going to give Brad Armstrong something. Okay. Next contest is going to be the Junkyard Dog, Brian Pillman and Tom Zink, Beautiful Bobby Eaton and Big Josh taking on a team comprised of all Jimmy Hart guys. The Nasty Boys, Dino Bravo, the Mountie, and Skinner. I'm giving Skinner to Jimmy Hart. At least temporarily. May drop him after this. But again, this is going to be largely a match without a whole heck of a lot of build or story to it. These guys have all just been getting strong wins on TV. There's going to be a story coming out of this, and the story coming out of this is going to be Pillman and Zink and the Nasty Boys. Pillman and Zink were actually a very good tag team in WCW. I enjoyed them a lot. The Nasty Boys are a solid tag team. In fact, in '91 in real life, they were the WWF Tag Team Champions for a while. They have not achieved that accolade in my WWF, but they're still going to start getting figured into the top and start getting some programs. So the lead up to this basically is going to see various members of the Hart Dynasty family, First Family, whatever we're going to call them, facing off with the various members of the opposing team in weeks leading up to this in feature contests, trading wins back and forth, to where eventually it just becomes natural to see this assemblage of 5 guys taking on Jimmy Hart's stable. Sole survivor out of the whole thing is going to be Flying Brian Pillman. Probably comes down with Pillman and Eaton being the last 2 on the team, or maybe Pillman and Dog. Probably Pillman and Dog and the Nasty Boys are the tail end of the equation, with the Nasties having just eliminated Tom Zink. Probably some piece of business with the Nasty Boys fighting Junkyard Dog outside of the ring. Double count out, but only one of the Nasty Boys, probably Sags, was legal, so he's the only one that actually gets counted out. Knobs is still in the match. When the referee starts the count again on Knobs, and Knobs realizes what's happening, he slides in the ring, and Pillman probably just catches him in something quick. But Brian Pillman wins and survives. And probably takes the bulk of the punishment in the match, too. On this edition of Survivor Series, the part of Tito Santana will be played by Brian Pillman. So, there's that one. The next match is probably the big feature of our Survivor Series matches, and this is the first one that's going to have a lot of storytelling behind it. It is the Heenan Family. The Heenan Family, in my world, is going to be comprised of 5 guys. And you're going to notice something here in a second. And I want to tell you where all these guys are going. But the Heenan Family is Ric Flair, Mr. Perfect, Rick Martel, Big Bully Busick, and Haku. Haku, the majority of the time, is seen as a bodyguard for either Bobby Heenan or Sherry Martel. He will wrestle. We will see him in action. We want to remind people that he's a bad man. But the bulk of the focus of the Heenan Family is going to be with Flair, Perfect, Martel, and Busick. Um, Flair and Perfect were already managed by Bobby Heenan at different points right after, Perfect was managed by Heenan previously. In reality, I think at this point, Perfect had actually been managed leading up to this by the coach, but we're not using him. Um, Flair was managed by Heenan initially. Um, Martel is one of the most solid workers in the company. And Big Bully Busick, I always liked. Busick was a solid worker, great look. Um, and if we tone down, the 1920s-ness of Busick's look with the high turtleneck, with the rolled collar, I mean, we'll keep the bowler. That's about as far as it's going to, and the handlebar mustache, but that's about as far as it's going to go. This is basically the Horseman. That's what I'm shooting for here. Is I'm shooting for my four horsemen in the WWF with what I got to work with. And we've been doing the real world champion story with Flair. Perfect has been around the horn with Sting right after SummerSlam. And then Sting has been in defenses, probably with Busick, probably a few with Martel. Luger has had his issues with Martel, and we've been building that up on television with Martel and Luger sort of best body kind of thing. Who's the better looking guy? Playing a little bit into the narcissistic side of Luger. The Rock and Roll Express, babyface tag team supreme. And there's going to be a surprise partner at Survivor Series, and we're kind of leading up to this. We're going to announce this match probably towards the end of October, and the surprise partner debuts on primetime as Ricky Steamboat at the beginning of November. So it's going to be Intercontinental Champion Sting, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Lex Luger, and the Rock and Roll Express taking on the Heenan family. That is the plan. And good morning to you, my dear friend Ryan. See you comment here. Last night they did the 30 for 30 on Flair. I think it was last night. So, very cool stuff. I haven't seen it yet. I don't have ESPN, unfortunately. But I look forward to seeing it. I'm sure it's going to be out there streaming somewhere. Story out of this match basically is going to wind up with ultimately it coming down to Sting and Steamboat against Flair and Perfect. We're going to wind up with Steamboat getting eliminated through very heelish means. And then just the odds being too much for Sting, and Flair is going to pin Sting clean, quite frankly. Because I don't need Flair to be the dirtiest player in the game yet. I need Flair to be the best in the business. I need him to be the best wrestler in the world today. And yes, Flair comes to the ring with the big gold belt. And yes, they make the ring announcer reintroduce Flair as the World Heavyweight Champion. So we're going to keep that gimmick going. Coming out of this, for the record, we're probably coming back around with Sting and Perfect, with probably ultimately sort of round 2 for the IC belt. Then we're going to wind up with our next match being more or less the blow-off to the whole Ted DiBiase, Dustin Rhodes thing. Ted DiBiase is going to put together the best team money can buy. So it's Ted DiBiase, IRS, Colonel Mustafa, and the Powers of Pain, Warlord and Barbarian. Basically, I just need DiBiase and IRS but to eventually set up Money Inc. And then I need a team of monsters. That's what we need. They're going to be taking on Dustin Rhodes, the the World Tag Team Champions, the Steiner brothers. And then Dustin Rhodes is going to seek out some very special help. One of my favorite angles with Dustin Rhodes in WCW was him as a rookie seeking out the help of Arn Anderson. I need to be mean. I need to think like these guys think. I need to find someone that can show me. And that's precisely what Dustin's going to do here. Dustin's going to find Randy Savage. So, if Piper were around, if I had Piper on the card, this would be the spot Piper would have. But instead, we're going to have Randy Savage here. And when he brings on Randy Savage, they're going to be one person down still. I don't know if maybe we do something where they wind up with a partner, like maybe Bill Kazmaier is supposed to be their partner and Kazmaier gets hurt or something like that. But ultimately, what's going to wind up happening is Sergeant Slaughter takes the last spot on the team. Dustin Rhodes says, you know, there are two things you have to know about in professional wrestling. This man, you know, savage, you know, you have to have a sense of savagery. That is this man's name, literally. But what goes hand in hand with savagery is slaughter. And, you know, we have Sergeant Slaughter come in. And Sergeant Slaughter basically says, I'll do whatever you want me to do, just Mustafa and Adnan are mine. And so the match is going to come down. Storylines coming out of this, realistically, we're going to have, first things first, your sole survivors are Dustin Rhodes and Sergeant Slaughter. We're going to wind up with DiBiase and IRS individually eliminating each of the Steiner brothers. So one of them's going to eliminate Rick, the other one's going to eliminate Scott. And it's probably going to be IRS eliminating Rick, with Scott eliminating IRS, and then DiBiase eliminating Scott. The rest of the eliminations are largely circumstantial. The Steiners probably get rid of the Powers of Pain. Savage, something will happen in there with Savage and DiBiase and IRS probably. Slaughter takes care of Mustafa. Ultimately, it's Dustin Rhodes pinning Ted DiBiase that is the final elimination of the match. And, you know, DiBiase had the best team money could buy, and Dustin Rhodes called on friends and mentors. And, you know, those bonds money can't buy. So, and that's, like I said, that's effectively going to be the blow-off. But Rhodes and Slaughter are your sole survivors. I want this to be Sergeant Slaughter's return to form, so to speak. And he is the former heavyweight champion of the world. So you don't want him to just go under somewhere randomly. I want him to go over. The semi-main event of the card is for the World Heavyweight title, because we are doing the Ultimate Survivors match as our main. The semi-main event is going to see The Undertaker with Paul Bearer beat Ron Simmons, the heavyweight champion of the world, in 15 minutes, right in the center of the ring with the Tombstone Piledriver. The Undertaker is now the heavyweight champion of the world. There are no shenanigans. There is no stripping him of the title. There is no ordering an immediate rematch. There's no Ric Flair getting involved. None of it. The Undertaker is now the World Heavyweight Champion. Tuesday in Texas is still going to happen, and we're still probably going to do a Ron Simmons Undertaker rematch out of it. Flair's stuff and rhetoric on TV about being the real world champion, he is going to call out Ron Simmons. He's going to call out Ron Simmons more than once. And him and Simmons are probably going to work around some house shows. but it's nominally, going to be once Taker wins the belt, Flair's rhetoric will change. I have no problem with Ron Simmons. I have a problem with whoever calls himself the world champion that's not me. While I have this and hold up the big gold belt. So Flair's going to shift focus to the Undertaker, but he's going to shift focus to the Undertaker because he's shifting focus with the belt. The belt's his focus, and that never changes. The Ultimate Survivors match is our main event with Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect from the Heenan family, along with Demolition, Axe Smash, and Crush, taking on Dustin Rhodes, Sergeant Slaughter, and Brian Pillman. Pillman at this point is toast. He has not recovered. He comes out taped up, so on and so forth. They put him back together just enough to go out and get his butt stomped. Slaughter and Rhodes manage to fight their way. Pillman, for the record, will get one win. He probably is going to somehow, some way, eliminate Smash. And maybe we get rid of Crush by disqualification on Pillman. And then Pillman gets put out by Axe. Slaughter and Rhodes. Rhodes is going to take a ton of punishment. Slaughter's going to get taken. I said Axe gets taken out by Slaughter. No. Rhodes is going to take a ton of punishment. He's going to be the one that takes all the heat once it's down to 3-on-2. Slaughter will get the hot tag, come in, boomity, boomity, boom. He's going to get caught somehow, dirty as hell. He'll get eliminated by Perfect. Or not by Perfect. He'll get eliminated by Axe. As soon as that happens, Dustin Rhodes hits the ring, Bulldog headlock, 1, 2, 3, pins Axe. Out of nowhere. Perfect and Flair are going to double team the crap out of Dustin Rhodes. Boom, 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 boom. Which is going to wind up leading to Dustin somehow catching Perfect. Perfect will probably cinch him up for the Perfect Plex and get rolled up in a small package. Shortly thereafter, Flair comes in the ring, starts working the leg, figure 4, and Dustin Rhodes will pass out in the figure 4 leg lock. And Ric Flair, the real world's champion, is your sole survivor. The ultimate survivor for the night. So there it is. That is my Survivor Series, which will end with Ric Flair in the middle of the ring holding the big gold belt high. I'm setting up a lot of stuff out of this. I'm positioning Dustin Rhodes nearer to the top of the card. Mainly because I want to get him in a position with and around the Intercontinental title. I'm doing the same with Sting. Sting's now already been Intercontinental Champion. He is the Intercontinental Champion. But we're positioning him to be in the picture with Flair eventually. Flair never shifts focus. Originally in the WWE, his whole focus was on Hogan. There is no Hogan. So the focus now needs to be the belt. So his sole focus is going to be the World Heavyweight title belt itself, the WWF Championship. Regardless of who has it. So right now, sort of Survivor Series is all about positioning. I'm positioning Money Inc. to form and end up with the Steiners. I'm positioning Dustin to be in the talks going forward near the top of the card, the gutsy rookie. By having Steamboat look good in the match, in his Survivor Series match, I'm positioning him to perhaps have a run with Perfect. So it's all about right now kind of getting everything set on the card. Next thing that'll be up will be this Tuesday in Texas, which will be followed by the Royal Rumble. I've got 4 cards left to book. Tuesday in Texas, Royal Rumble, Saturday night's main event, and then WrestleMania in the Hoosier Dome. So it should prove interesting. What did you guys think? What did you think of the card? What did you think of how it did? You let me know in the comments. Tell me, you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. Feedback is helpful. We take any kind we can get. Just don't be a jerk. That's all we ask. If you want to help us out here at the ECS Network, you can do that by jumping over to cafepress.com/ECS Network. Grab yourself some cool merch. Kind of like the hat I'm wearing, the old Rage Quit Radio hat. Or if you grab yourself a Denzicaster t-shirt like this one. You can jump over to any of our Facebook pages, whether that is facebook.com/Denzicaster, 8-Star Anime, Chopsaki Cinema, or RQR Podcast for Rage Quit Radio, and you can become one of our patrons at patreon.com/ECS Network. All of that helps us out. Plus, also, there's a subscribe button down there somewhere. If you haven't already hit it for us, because that helps too. So, folks, until next time, we got 4 shows to go to see how my 1991 ultimately takes shape in the WWF. I'm Mike, and I'll see you next time.